Could it happen? Would it happen? Should it happen? We're going to talk about it today.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Any Atlanta Hawks fans stopping as well? Welcome to TSR Sports. You know, the Trae Young rumor mill's been going around a lot over the past week, and I see more and more websites covering it, and you guys are talking about it a lot, and it's like, you know what? Time for old TSR to give his 2 cents. Plus, I found this wonderful article from mysanantonio.com that I'll share in the comments below, and I thought, you know what? We're going to talk about this today. So Spurs fans, Hawks fans, do you think Trae Young could be traded to the San Antonio Spurs? Let me know in the comments down below. Spurs fans, what would you be willing to give up? And Hawks fans, what would you want in return? Namely, rather, any of the people that are not fans of either team, just want to chip in. I'm certainly interested in your opinion too on what you think could happen with a trade like this. Hit the thumbs up if you like to support the channel, and subscribe to become part of this wonderful sports community, the thing that keeps bringing me back every day. Anyway, no, that's a true story. That's a true story. I love our community. The San Antonio Spurs were rumored to have asked about former All-Star Spur DeJounte Murray and a potential deal sending him back to South Central Texas. It was the Spurs who traded Murray to the Hawks for 5 first-round picks just 2 seasons ago. 5 first-round picks? I know we got the unprotected 25 and 27, the pick swap. Was that Charlotte Hornets pick that's never going to convey? Was that part of it? And then what the heck's the other pick? Was it 5 first-rounders? Anyway, a deal would be welcomed by Murray himself, which he has said, but the Hawks have another star point guard in the rumor mill showing interest in playing with Victor Wembanyama. Clutch Points had posted this, and I think this has generated a lot of the rumor mill and the spark and the interest they put up. And of course, they put up a picture that I'm myself using of Trae Young with Victor Wembanyama. Trae Young's camp would reportedly be open to pairing him with Victor Wembanyama on the Spurs. Thoughts? Well, we're giving our thoughts today, are we not? Trae Young, if he were to don the silver and black, would be divisive amongst fans if nothing else. He is notoriously one of the league's worst defenders and does not move well off the ball. Well, let's take a timeout right now. That's already a problem because our Spurs, while defense has been better lately, we certainly have struggled on defense quite a bit. And one thing I see from Spurs fans and myself is our current starting point guard, who's finally getting the starting point guard job, which he should have had many, many moons ago. Trae Young is 6'1". Trae Jones is 6'1". So we'll be going from one 6'1" Trae to another 6'1" Trae, which means we continue to have an undersized point guard. And this would be a defensive downgrade from Trae Jones. At least Jones balls out at times and, causes some havoc. He's feisty. There's a lot of effort there. And that would be taking us a step back on the defensive side of things. Now, if Demasel continues to progress and Victor continues to be the defensive juggernaut that he's turning into, if Jeremy Sohan continues to develop, could you have one very huge weakness in the starting lineup on defense? Possibly, if you can overcome it with your offense, which that is one thing that Trae Young does bring in buckets. He is an offensive juggernaut, as you can see. I really like the juggernaut word today. He is second in the NBA in assists per game as of Tuesday, January 16th, averaging nearly 11, along with 27.5 points per contest. A combo of him and Wemby would certainly give defenses pause and trouble. That being said, with somebody like Trae Young, who takes a lot of shots, is that going to stunt the development of the other guys on the team? That would be a major concern if I was a Spurs GM looking to possibly make a trade. Quote, this is what Trae Young had to say about Wemby. He's a presence every time he's on the floor. You don't know if he's going to block your shot or go back to the big for the lob. On offense, use him a lot better in the second half, throwing it up to him. Sometimes you feel from he has some open looks. Sometimes they just don't get it to him, and they were getting to him in the second half on those lobs and just throwing it up to him. We had to do a better job, and I'm glad we closed it out. So I think what Trae Young is acknowledging what a lot of Spurs fans have been saying is that he's open, and whoever has the ball just has the Wemby tunnel vision, can't see wide open Wemby, a nickname that he's one of the many nicknames he has on this channel, wide open Wemby. Spurs have gotten better about it, but there are times he has a mismatch or is there for a lob attempt and he miss it. Would Trae Young miss that? Would he find wide open Wemby, or would he be just shooting first himself? Probably a mix. He does have 11 assists per game, so I think he would find them more often than not. And this raises the question, would the Atlanta Hawks trade him? As of now, the answer is no. Atlanta has made it clear that Trae Young is untouchable. Of course, this could also be a diversion tactic where you're saying so-and-so's not available, where you're really just kind of shopping a little bit, trying to get some feelers, trying to increase trade value, instead of doing the opposite and saying, yeah, we're looking to trade him. Who wants him? Obviously don't want to do that, right? Our Spurs, of course, own several of Atlanta's future draft picks starting in 2025, and it will be no surprise that while the Hawks are tearing everything down, they would want some of that draft capital back. In general, though, the Spurs don't be looking to be shopping this trade season. Pop and the front office aren't interested in making short-term moves as they are still thinking very long-term. Pop had this to say, "No doubt about it. Why do we do that? Get a vet or two and go win a championship this year? I'm going to go think about that." Well, I think what he's saying is probably not going to happen. Great, win a championship this year, bring in Trae Young, maybe some others, but not this year, next season. And this season's a building season, but bring in Trae Young next season, some other vets, win a championship next year, and then what? I've already seen, and we've seen, and I wasn't even thinking about talking about this, the Lakers did the and now thing when they won a championship during the bubble year, and then he made a whole bunch of trades trying to replicate that process, and the team has just not been the same since. And I would not want that to happen to Spurs, where you bring a bunch of players in, you win a championship next year or the year after, and the next thing you know, contracts are expiring or players want to leave, and you don't have a foundation. And sure, you won that championship, but you have nothing. You have nothing to show for moving forward in the future. A team similar to this also is the Toronto Raptors, who got Kawhi Leonard from our Spurs, won a championship, only had him that 1 year, and now they are quickly heading towards a rebuild, if they're not there already. So overall, while this deal is rather unlikely, it does accentuate Wembanyama's off-the-court gravity. Players in this league see his talent potential and want to play alongside him. They do. We do have that going for our Spurs fans. They will want to be a part of his legacy. Young being open to the idea of playing with him is just the beginning. Not a future dynasty, because I'm going to be honest, I don't see this happen. He'll be 26 next season. I've already mentioned defensive deficiencies, the undersized by today's NBA standards. I mean, I'm taller than him. I'm 6'4". I mean, come on now. And there's his contract, too. He has a huge contract over the next 3 years. $43 million, $45 million, $48 million. So when his contract is up, guess who other's contract is up? This guy right here. And who do you think would be more important to the San Antonio Spurs in re-signing? Victor Wembanyama or Trae Young? Obviously, it would be Wemby. And then I don't see this happening. It's nice to talk about bringing in players that are established and stars, but that historically hasn't been what the Spurs have done. When we look at our championship teams, all our best players, for the most part, have been drafted. David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Kawhi Leonard. You could put an asterisk down there because even though we didn't draft him, we traded for him immediately that draft night, and he was started his career with the Spurs. So I personally am still on the build a championship team instead of buying a championship team. I like what we're doing now. We're seeing the team come together. I still, for the life of me, don't know why Julian Champagne's in the starting lineup, but he hit quite a few threes recently. When we last played, I can't remember. So he's looked better. He looked better in the last game, so hopefully he can turn things around, because if he can hit some shots, keep the defense honest, and he does play solid defense, then he probably not a long-time starter, but he's a starter for now. Kind of like Zach Collins was to start the year. Not the guy we look at holding that position long-term, but good enough for right now. Much like Trae Jones. I like Trae Jones. I don't think he's our long-term starter at point guard, but he is good for now. Right now, I don't see any chance of this happening. I got to think Atlanta's going to want all those first-round picks back in 2025, 26, and 27. Probably a player with them, maybe a Keldon, maybe a Devin. I think their asking price is going to be astronomical, and the Spurs just aren't going to be willing to pay it. So it was, fun little thing to look at, but no. And no. So that's all I got. The Spurs play the Celtics tonight. Oh, that's going to be a tough game. That's going to be we last played Atlanta. My goodness. Champagne a bunch of threes against Atlanta. Of course, we just played Atlanta. But this is why the Trae Young talk is coming up. We play the Celtics tonight. If that second half team shows up that we saw against Atlanta, and the team we saw for about a 4 or 5 game stretch where they played the Bucks tough, and they played the Cavs tough, and then they beat the Hornets, and they beat the Pistons, and then they played the Bulls tough. That San Antonio Spurs, that team can win tonight. They're going to have to play their best basketball, and when we've seen the team play their best basketball, they can win some games here and there. But it's going to need a team effort. We're going to need Wemby just to be Wemby. We're going to need a heck of a lot more of Keldon Johnson than we did against the Hawks. And Devin Vassell, who's been in a terrible slump the last 2 games, we're going to need him to have another career night tonight going for over 30. So I'm saying there's a chance, but it's going to be a tough game. Anyway, I'm rambling. I thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you tonight for the Celtics and Spurs. I believe that's 7:30 Eastern. And thank you for watching. And as always, go Spurs, go.
And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.